question, Mr. Shourie, and the court seems to suggest this, is that while they respect Prashant Bhushan's track record in PIL litigation, they believe he's a habitual offender when it comes to criticizing the court. They cite, for example, and this is a separate contempt case which has come against him, his remarks in 2009 to a magazine where he said allegations of corruption, according to him at the time, half of the previous 16 chief justices were corrupt. Now, when you make a statement like that half of the previous 16 chief justices were corrupt, and this is in 2009, does that not lower the dignity of the court and therefore invite contempt?
No. The first point, again, I have to repeat myself, Rajdeep, this is not a question of a TV show. If Prashant Bhushan says that the first obligation of the court under the law, as ratified not only by the Parliament, but by the Supreme Court itself, by the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court. In my own case, 5 judges sitting there, unanimous judgment is that you are obliged to ask him, please prove that the last X, Y, Z or the others were actually corrupt. That is the first obligation that they have to do it. Second point that we must remember, Rajdeep, is that corruption does not mean, even under the Prevention of Corruption Act, forget the English language or of a public discourse, corruption does not only mean, and I'm using the words of the Act, monetary gratification or any favor which is estimable in money.
Yes.
These are the words from there. And they say that it is any favor, it is any valuable thing. So I will give you an example. Consider this situation that a chief justice or a judge, who is the biggest litigant in the country? Tell me.
The government of India.
Yes. So the government of India, you are the judge, they appear before you every single day.
Yes.
In some form or the other. Now, let us say that if the pattern of your judgments is such that by, let us say, sheer coincidence, it goes always help, it is very convenient to the government. And you retire, and immediately you accept from that very litigant the chairmanship of the Human Rights Commission or the chairmanship of the National Company Law Tribunal, or a defunct body like the Press Council.
So are you telling me that every chief justice, are you telling me therefore that every chief justice who takes a post-retirement sinecure, if I may use that word, is therefore guilty of corruption? Well,
that is a very important point for the courts to consider, and persons like me have and many other very important, I'm nobody, but very important people have said that you should never accept anything from the biggest litigant who appeared before you. And you see, the people will judge not whether you accepted the job or not, Rajya Sabha nomination. I mean, what is it? But the previous Chief Justice has accepted this after a series of his judgments on the CAA, on electoral bonds, on Rafale, were so convenient to the government.
Sir, but we've had a chief justice, a recent chief justice who's accepted a Rajya Sabha nomination. We've had other chief justices who become governors within a month of their retirement. Are we saying that that all the chief justices who did this, according to you, are in some way or the other corrupt? Because remember, sir, if you say that, tomorrow you'll find yourself being sued for contempt or being tried for contempt.
Forget sued for contempt. I will deal with it when that sort of thing happens. I am on the point of the meaning of corruption under the Prevention of Corruption Act.
You're saying it's a wider definition.
Yes. And secondly, I give you an example. Rajdeep, you and I are in the business of writing and speaking. Now, supposing you and I are completely financially honest, completely, but we proclaim high principles, but when it comes to acting on them, we don't act on them, then we are intellectually dishonest, morally dishonest. You take an academic or a journalist, and he does not, he's beyond question honest as far as money is concerned. but he plagiarizes. So is he not intellectually and morally dishonest, morally corrupt? So please, corruption should not only mean buying and selling of MLAs.
Mm-hmm. So you seem to be suggesting that Prashant Bhushan...
Rajdeep, one point.
Yes.
People will, in the end, people will not go by what Prashant Bhushan says or you, and certainly not what I say. They will go by the experience they have of the judicial system. After all, so many Indians are before the courts every day. They know, and certainly the lawyers community knows whether all the judges are honest or not. Now, a very distinguished judge from Bombay, Mr. Iqbal Chagla, wrote the other day in the Indian Express that he, as the president of the Bombay Bar Association, had to move a resolution against 6 judges, sitting judges, that they were corrupt. And eventually they had to resign and leave. He then had to move a resolution subsequently against the Chief Justice, sitting Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, that he is corrupt. So the fact that a few judges are corrupt is a matter of record.